Have you ever stood in your kitchen late at night staring into the refrigerator light, wondering why your willpower seems to disappear after 9 p.m.? You promise yourself that tomorrow will be different, that tonight is the last time you give in, yet the cravings feel stronger than your intentions. If you are over 40 and this pattern feels familiar, hear this clearly. It is not a character flaw, and it is not a lack of discipline. It may be your biology calling the shots behind the scenes, nighttime cravings. After 40, cortisol, ghrelin, and gut signals. Explained is not just a title, it is a wake-up call to understand what is really happening inside your body when the sun goes down and the urge to snack rises up. As we move through life, responsibilities multiply, stress accumulates, and sleep becomes lighter and more fragmented. The body that once bounced back effortlessly now responds differently. One of the most powerful players in this shift is cortisol, the stress hormone designed to help you survive danger. In small, well-timed bursts, cortisol is your ally. It wakes you up in the morning, sharpens your focus, and mobilizes energy. But when stress becomes chronic and sleep becomes inconsistent, cortisol can stay elevated into the evening long after it should have declined. Instead of preparing your body for rest, it keeps you on alert. And when cortisol stays high at night, it can stimulate appetite, particularly for quick sources of energy like sugar and refined carbohydrates. This is where the misunderstanding begins. You think you are weak because you want cookies or chips at 10 p.m., but your body may be responding to a hormonal signal that says, "We need fuel." Elevated evening cortisol disrupts your natural hunger rhythm. It blurs the line between true hunger and stress-driven appetite. You are not simply craving food, you are responding to a stress message that has not been properly resolved during the day. The modern world rarely powers down, and neither do we. Screens glow, emails arrive, news cycles spin, and your nervous system rarely gets the signal that it is safe to rest. Then comes ghrelin, often called the hunger hormone. Ghrelin rises before meals to signal that it is time to eat and falls after you are satisfied. In a well-regulated system, this rhythm is beautifully orchestrated. But after 40, especially when sleep is shortened or blood sugar fluctuates throughout the day, ghrelin signaling can become amplified. Poor sleep alone has been shown to increase ghrelin levels while lowering leptin, the hormone that tells you that you are full. The result is a powerful combination: stronger hunger signals and weaker satiety cues. You may eat dinner, yet still feel compelled to snack later, not because you need more calories, but because your hormonal orchestra is out of sync. And beneath these hormones lies another hidden influence: your gut. Trillions of bacteria live within your digestive system, communicating with your brain through chemical messengers and nerve pathways. When your microbiome is balanced, it supports stable blood sugar, healthy inflammation levels, and consistent appetite regulation. But stress, processed foods, lack of fiber, and irregular eating patterns can disrupt that balance. Certain gut bacteria may even influence cravings by affecting reward pathways in the brain. What feels like a simple desire for something sweet may actually be a complex conversation between your gut, your brain, and your stress hormones. This is why shame has no place in this journey. When you understand that late-night cravings can be rooted in cortisol dysregulation, amplified ghrelin signaling, and gut imbalance, the narrative changes. You stop blaming yourself and start asking better questions. What stressed me today that I did not resolve? How consistent was my protein intake? Did my blood sugar spike and crash? Did I give my body the rest it needs? Awareness is the first step toward freedom. The moment you realize that your body is not betraying you, but communicating with you, everything shifts. You are no longer fighting yourself. You are learning to listen. But here is where the story deepens, and this is the part most people never see coming. The craving you feel at night is not just about food. It is about a cycle quietly building momentum beneath your awareness. Stress raises cortisol. Elevated cortisol disrupts blood sugar. Unstable blood sugar amplifies ghrelin. Increased ghrelin intensifies hunger signals. Late-night eating then fragments sleep, and poor sleep pushes cortisol even higher the next day. What appears to be a simple snack before bed can become a self-reinforcing loop that tightens with time. And the most unsettling part is that this loop often strengthens after 40, when recovery is slower and hormonal rhythms are less forgiving. You may think the solution is to push harder, to use stricter rules, to rely on willpower alone. Yet willpower is a finite resource, especially when your biology is working against you. Imagine trying to hold back the tide with your bare hands. For a moment, you might succeed, but eventually the pressure overwhelms you. That is what happens when elevated evening cortisol keeps your nervous system on edge. Your body interprets subtle stressors as threats. It prepares for action instead of rest. In that state, high-calorie foods become biologically appealing because they promise quick energy and temporary relief. Now consider what happens inside your brain. Chronic stress and inflammation can alter dopamine signaling, the pathway associated with reward and motivation. When the gut microbiome becomes imbalanced, certain bacterial byproducts can influence these same pathways. The craving is no longer just physical hunger, it becomes a search for comfort, for a small surge of pleasure that briefly quiets the internal tension. The snack is not simply food, it is a coping mechanism wrapped in biology. And the more frequently this pattern repeats, the more entrenched the neural pathways become. This is the suspenseful turning point most people overlook. The real battle is not between you and the pantry. It is between awareness and automation. Every repeated behavior strengthens a pathway. If stress leads to snacking night after night, your brain begins to anticipate it. Evening arrives, cortisol lingers, and without conscious thought, your body prepares for the ritual. The lights dim, the couch calls, and the kitchen becomes magnetic. You might not even feel hungry in a traditional sense, yet the urge feels undeniable. That is conditioning layered on top of hormonal dysregulation. But here's the empowering truth hidden inside this complexity. Cycles can be interrupted. Hormones are responsive. The gut microbiome is adaptable. Neural pathways can be rewired. The same biology that seems to be working against you is also capable of healing when given the right signals. When you stabilize blood sugar during the day through balanced meals rich in protein and fiber, you reduce the amplitude of ghrelin spikes at night. When you create consistent sleep rhythms, cortisol begins to respect its natural curve, rising in the morning and falling in the evening. When you nourish diverse gut bacteria with whole foods and fiber variety, inflammatory signaling can calm and appetite regulation becomes more stable. Yet change requires patience because the body does not reset overnight. This is where many people give up. They try 1 week of eating differently, one attempt at going to bed earlier, and when cravings still appear, they assume nothing works. What they do not realize is that years of accumulated stress and disrupted rhythms require consistent correction. The body trusts patterns. It waits to see if the new signals are reliable. Only then does it adjust. So the question becomes deeper than food. Are you willing to create daily signals of safety for your nervous system? Are you willing to prioritize restoration as fiercely as productivity? Because when you reduce stress intentionally, when you stabilize energy rather than chase quick fixes, you are not merely fighting cravings. You are addressing the root of the stress-inflammation craving cycle. And once that root weakens, the nightly pull begins to lose its grip. The refrigerator light stops feeling like a spotlight on your failure and starts becoming just another light in your home. The power shifts back to you, not through force, but through understanding. This is why shame has no place in this journey. When you understand that late-night cravings can be rooted in cortisol dysregulation, amplified ghrelin signaling, and gut imbalance, the narrative changes. You stop blaming yourself and start asking better questions. What stressed me today that I did not resolve? How consistent was my protein intake? Did my blood sugar spike and crash? Did I give my body the rest it needs? Awareness is the first step toward freedom. The moment you realize that your body is not betraying you, but communicating with you, everything shifts. You are no longer fighting yourself. You are learning to listen. The final shift happens when you stop asking how to resist cravings and start asking how to regulate your system. Because once you understand that your body is responding to signals, you realize that you can change the signals. You can send messages of stability instead of chaos, nourishment instead of restriction, calm instead of constant stimulation. After 40, the body demands partnership, not punishment. It rewards consistency, not extremes. And when you begin to work with your biology instead of against it, something powerful begins to unfold. Start with protein, not as a trend, but as a foundation. Strategic protein intake earlier in the day anchors blood sugar and reduces dramatic rises and falls that amplify ghrelin at night. When your muscles and liver receive adequate amino acids, your brain interprets that as security. Energy becomes steady rather than volatile. Add fiber diversity, not just a token salad, but a range of plant foods that nourish different strains of gut bacteria. Each type of fiber feeds a different microbial ally, and together they create short-chain fatty acids that calm inflammation and support balanced appetite signaling. When your gut is supported, your cravings become quieter because the internal conversation becomes less chaotic. Then consider the rhythm of your day. Circadian alignment is not a buzzword, it is biology. Light exposure in the morning, regular meal timing, and reducing artificial light late at night all communicate to cortisol when to rise and when to fall. If you flood your eyes with bright screens at midnight, your brain interprets that as daytime. Cortisol may remain elevated and melatonin may be delayed. Sleep becomes shallow, and the next day ghrelin climbs higher. But when you dim the lights, create an evening wind-down routine, and protect your sleep window, you give your hormones a chance to recalibrate. One night of better sleep may not transform everything, but repeated nights create measurable change. Stress regulation techniques are not luxuries. They are metabolic tools. Slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, lowering cortisol. Gentle evening walks improve blood sugar disposal. Journaling unresolved worries prevents mental rumination from turning into physiological stress. These small acts accumulate. They send the message that danger has passed. When cortisol declines appropriately in the evening, appetite signals follow suit. The intense pull toward the pantry softens because your body no longer believes it must stockpile energy for an invisible threat. Most importantly, release the identity of someone who lacks discipline. That narrative keeps you trapped. Replace it with curiosity. If cravings arise, examine the day. Was protein adequate? Was fiber diverse? Did stress remain unresolved? Was sleep shortened? Each craving becomes feedback rather than failure. Over time, patterns reveal themselves. And as you adjust those patterns, the stress-inflammation craving cycle begins to unwind. You are not suppressing hunger. You are restoring regulation. There will still be evenings when you choose to enjoy a snack, and that is not defeat. The difference is intention. When hormones are balanced and the gut is supported, eating becomes a choice rather than a compulsion. You can savor food without feeling hijacked by it. That is metabolic freedom. That is what nighttime cravings after 40, cortisol, Ghrelin and gut signals explained is truly about. It is about understanding the deeper mechanics of your body so you can respond wisely instead of reacting automatically. You are not broken because you crave food at night. You are adaptive. Your body has been trying to protect you the only way it knows how. Now you have the knowledge to guide it differently. Stabilize your blood sugar, nourish your microbiome, protect your sleep, calm your nervous system. Repeat these steps consistently and watch how the urgency fades. The refrigerator light will no longer represent struggle, but awareness. And in that awareness, you reclaim control not through force, but through alignment. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early. This is why shame has no place in this journey. When you understand that late-night cravings can be rooted in cortisol dysregulation, amplified ghrelin signaling, and gut imbalance, the narrative changes. You stop blaming yourself and start asking better questions. What stressed me today that I did not resolve? How consistent was my protein intake? Did my blood sugar spike and crash? Did I give my body the rest it needs? Awareness is the first step toward freedom. The moment you realize that your body is not betraying you, but communicating with you, everything shifts. You are no longer fighting yourself. You are learning to listen.